Hello, Cardinals Nation, coming to you live with this bonus edition. Well, I guess not live, but you'll be seeing it shortly after we're doing it live. But Jarrad with Cardinals Nation 24/7, my good friend and the founder of Cardinals Nation 24/7, Chris Lollis. Chris, how are you, man? We got some news this evening.
Yeah, it's late here, but definitely got some breaking news, and I think some Cardinal fans might be a little disappointed, but overall should be kind of excited over this move.
Yeah, they went out and signed Steven Matz, 4 years, $44 million, with the potential to make another $4 million in bonuses. But overall, Chris, your thoughts on the signing? I know they were supposed to be interested in chasing down some pitchers, and it's been reported even tonight that they've been super aggressive. But your thoughts on getting somebody signed this early, and then on who they actually picked up?
Well, I know it was rumored that Matz was going to sign before Thanksgiving, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. I know the Cardinals were kind of in on supposedly conversations with Stroman, also Max Scherzer, but I think those are players that are going to be kind of negotiating for a bigger contract, and the Cardinals I think wanted to address this need quickly. Not saying that they wouldn't have had interest in those guys, but to have a lefty come in, that's something that we're needing, especially with KK not returning. I think it addresses a need, and for fairly cheap.
Yeah, I mean, the rumor out there was, is that they were heavily looking for someone that could slot in behind Flaherty and Wayno as potentially number three guy, and having a lefty in the middle of that rotation bodes well for him. And then you have to think this positions the Cardinals pretty well. And what they really like about Matz is he's a superior ground ball pitcher. I am cheating here, but I'm gonna look it up here, but I can't even remember the amount. But I don't have it on here, but it was like some crazy number. I think it's like 56 or 59% of his the contact results in a ground ball, which with the Gold Glove defense, there was a lot of. I know he was probably entertaining a lot of offers from a lot of teams, but you have to figure the Cardinals having a Gold Glove defense and him being a sinker ball / ground ball pitcher had to obviously weigh in favor of the Cardinals in his decision on where he was going to sign.
Yeah, and I mean to come back to the National League where I think it makes sense for him. I know he had I think 8 teams that were pursuing him. You come into a Cardinal team that was on the cusp, of turning the corner. They made the playoffs, so it's a contending team. Like I said, the money makes sense. Having a lefty in the rotation makes sense, and the Cardinals' sense of urgency here, where they're not just letting pitchers fall off the table. There were a couple signings, but nothing that I thought the Cardinals would be interested in. So this move, like I said, it shores up that at least having some sort of solidity in the rotation. And hopefully they're not done here. That they go and make more moves, but I wouldn't expect a lot more. Like I said, addressing this need was important, and to get it done this quickly, it's something I'm on board with.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed, but these are the same people that would complain if the Cardinals didn't do anything at all. I never thought Max Scherzer was going to be a possibility for us. It's nice. I would like to have him. Not saying I wouldn't want him, but I never thought he felt into the realm or the reality of what the Cardinals try to do every year. And this is a pretty good rotation to figure you're going to have Dakota Hudson be number 4, and probably uh, Miles Mikolas becomes a fifth guy in the rotation, proving he can stay healthy. But that's a pretty good starting five, Chris.
Oh, it is, and I in our group chat, I kind of sent this thing out, and I was all on board with like us going after our Marcus Stroman. I would have loved to seen him in a Cardinal uniform, but looking at his career numbers and his, granted, you can't put wins and losses above everything, but his career wins and losses against Carlos Martinez wasn't much different. His career ERA against Carlos Martinez, again, not much different. He's a bit younger, but at the same time, he's going to demand a lot more money than what a Steven Matz will, and this can afford the Cardinals to go out and make another move where I think Stroman might have handicapped him to where it would have been, a bench player at best, them bringing in. Now I think they could address the shortstop position if they need to, or possibly spend some money on a DH. But Stroman would have been nice. I agree with you. Scherzer would have been nice, but again, this isn't dumpster diving by Mo. This is a solid pickup, and something that I think Cardinal fans will be pleasantly surprised with once they see Matz in the Cardinal uniform.
Yeah, I mean, Matz is a good pitcher. He hasn't been, lights out, but last year he was very good. Just to recap here, obviously, because we didn't have him all year. He's 30 years old, so let's only take him through year 34, which is, is still not a bad age for anybody, whether they're a pitcher or someone that's going to play offense and defense every day. But he went 14-7 with 3.82 ERA last season. Made 29 starts. He threw over 150 innings, just over 150 and 2/3, which exactly at the winter meetings, most said they wanted someone that was going to pitch at least 150 innings, which just might be your guy. He's a lefty. What I really liked and what really stood out when I was reading D. Gould's story from the Post-Dispatch right after the trade was announced, that he struck out 144 and only walked 43. And you have to think, Crisp, after what we saw last year, that probably was also a factor in the Cardinals' decision with issues of control and walking a lot of batters. You'd have to think that's something that probably stood out for Mo and Ollie and then Maddox as well.
Oh, definitely. And granted, he's 30 years old. You having such a young pitching staff where we had like a Woodford and Oviedo and those types. And I'm not saying they're not MLB ready, but obviously we got that taste last year where there were so many struggles not being able to get the ball across home plate. And that's a lot of the reason we went out and got a J.A. Happ and a Wade LeBlanc and John Lester. So to bring this guy in, I mean, again, fits that lefty need, but to be able to pitch the ball over the plate, and you've got gold glovers all around, I think that'll bode well for him in St. Louis for sure.
Yeah, what I like about this too is he's going in and he appears to be, in good health. Key note too from Gould's report of the Post-Dispatch, if everyone gets the chance and want to kind of read up on how Matz did last year, that I'd recommend going and picking it up real quick. He went at the end of the season in his final 11 starts. He went 6-1 with a 2.69 ERA. Had 52 strikeouts, almost as many hits as he gave up, 58 in 60 and a third innings. So he struck out 52 in 60 innings. So not only did he have a good year, but a lot of that success, he went 6-1 at the end of the season. So if you look at that, he was 8-6 before that came in, and he really went on cruise control there at the end. And then with our defense, with him being a sinker ball / ground ball pitcher, Busch Stadium being known, especially as of late, as a pitcher-friendly park, you would think all those factors definitely would weigh into his favor and in ours.
Yeah, and pitching for the Blue Jays, he was facing some pretty tough lineups in that AL West, or AL East. It's you got the Yankees and the Rays and Red Sox. I mean, he was facing some tough lineups. So
yeah, another thing too that a lot of people can't overlook on this too, Chris, and I know we've talked about this, is Matz didn't get a qualifying offer from the Blue Jays, which to me was a little surprising because I would assume the Blue Jays would be a team that wants as many picks as possible because they're kind of money focused. But also signing him when the Cardinals not having to give up a draft pick, and not even the pick itself, but also the money that would be slotted with that pick, is also a big deal.
it is, and Mozeliak doesn't typically like to go after somebody with a qualifying offer where a draft pick's attached. Wasn't too surprised, with the Blue Jays, they've kind of got their work cut out for them on deciding whether they want to bring back Semien, whether they want to bring back Robbie Ray. They just signed Barrios to a pretty lengthy contract, and they've got such a young core that I think they could afford to let Matz go.
Yeah, Robbie Ray and Semien are going to draw some serious cash if they're going to try to keep those guys. I definitely see them trying to go after Robbie Ray, and then with Barrios, I guess it kind of makes sense. Stroman and Matz are kind of like the odd ducks out. But here's the stat I was looking for. See, more than half of his pitches, 51.9%, so basically 52% of his pitches last season were all sinkers. And obviously he was in league leaders of ground ball pitchers. Ground balls, he got 45.5% of the time. And for his career, he's a 47.5% ground ball rate amongst pitchers. So, I mean, that's good. That's what the Cardinals have always looked for all these years, right? And now you have probably the best defense we've ever had, with all the Gold Glove awards and then winning as the best team and just the players that he's going to have behind him. This could potentially end up being a, I guess the sleeper or the dark horse signing of the offseason.
Right. And, even though with Yadier Molina's age, I think having him behind the plate, that might bode well for him too. I mean, you've got gold glovers in the defense that can look out for his ground balls and pitch into a pretty good sized ballpark in Busch Stadium. But when you got Molina behind the plate, he can work magic and hopefully get the best out of Matz. I mean, he's coming off arguably his best season was last season. But I think Molina can work some magic, and we'll have a stud on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to figure he's going to be pitching to Molina, which is going to help. He's going to have guys like Wainwright around that are going to be able to help him, and just everything that goes into what the Cardinals organization is. I think this is a good signing. This kind of reminds me of a Cardinals of old signing, but even probably a little better. Back in the day, they would go get the Westbrook. Westbrook was a big pickup they got. That was a big ground ball pitcher that did really well for us. He won game 6 of the World Series in 2011. And guys like Jeff Suppan and those type of guys, Jason Marquis, that weren't really much anywhere else, but were mid-4 ERA type guys. This is kind of like a signing of old, and it's kind of a salary of old. And I know the collective bargaining agreement kind of forced a lot of moves to happen, including probably this one. And he said he wanted to sign before the end of the before the Thanksgiving holiday. Sorry, so he kind of wrapped it up, and I think it's a good signing for the Cardinals. I mean, you could have been sitting there and you could have held out for somebody like Stroman, and then you could have been sitting and waiting, and then last minute he could pick up and go somewhere else where they're going to throw crazy money at him. So, this is a good signing for the Cardinals. They didn't spend all their money, so they do have some wiggle room or money left to play with, depending on what happens with the CBA and all that. I know they've got to extend some offers to a lot of players also, so they can still not be done. But then you've got Thompson and Liberatore in the minors too, and you got to figure one of those guys is probably going to slot to the bullpen this year to take the Andrew Miller's spot. I think they like having a few lefty options. Cabrera did better this last year, and Kim left this year obviously, and so did Andrew Miller. So with Matz, we picked that lefty kind of starter back up, and last year everybody was happy. We picked up LeBlanc and Lester and Happ and all these guys, but Matz is better than all those guys, and we were able to make what we picked up last year work. So, I'm excited about the signing. I mean, obviously it's not an A because he's not a superstar, but I would consider this to be a B or B minus free agent signing. Whenever you're saying you're going to sign this guy to be your number 3 starter, and you're going to have Flaherty and Waino in front of him, and you're going to have, Dakota Hudson pitching behind him, who, even though he came back in a short sample size last year and pitched very well before, he got injured and had Tommy John surgery. Having him coming up behind him is also going to be a good thing. And then you've got him for a few more years, and we could potentially have a heavy left-handed rotation coming up in the next few years with Liberatore and Thompson. Or maybe they're waving the flag and saying one of those guys might be dealt for something else. I could see the Cardinals making another move, but I could definitely see them making maybe a potential trade of some kind. We've talked about this too, with just to wrap up the Steven Matz, but this is a hot stove type conversation that gets our wheels turning, and we talked about it. But you got Juan Yepez and Newt Bar, who looked really well last year and did very well here in the Arizona Fall League, and they've got nowhere to play. Newt Bar they will both make the team, but with Goldschmidt being at first base, being a Gold Glove winner, unless the DH is in play, I would see Yepez or Newt Bar playing before Nolan Gorman. I know everybody in Cardinals Nation wants Gorman playing for some reason, but they're not quite prepared for that yet. I think he's going to have a full year in Memphis next year before that happens. But where would you place this trade? I said it was a B minus. Where do you place the trade in your mind? I know it's probably not what everybody wanted. Everyone was saying hopefully not Matz, but I think you have to really dive into the numbers and look at the signing and go read about the guy before you shut him out. But I think it's a good signing.
I would probably give it a B plus, and why I say that is because the contract that we're giving the guy. I mean, Scherzer obviously is going to command like over $30 million a year, and it would be at least a 2-3 year deal towards the end of his career. And with Stroman, I agree with you. I think that the longer that time goes on, I think he's going to command more money. And if the Cardinals are sitting ducks where they're putting all their eggs in the Stroman basket, they could come away pretty well empty-handed, because you're seeing a lot of pitchers already signing. And so to do that with a guy that, he's young enough to where we're going to get good years out of him, he fits that need. and you don't want to have to rely on the Liberatore and Thompson to come in and to be productive right away. You kind of want to ease them up, and I think that's what the Cardinals' plan is. So I give it a B plus because I think there's a lot of potential there. And while a lot of our fan base was clamoring and hoping for that big splash, it's not always the sexy name that gets it done, and that doesn't mean the Cardinals aren't still maybe in on a story or, somebody else of that nature. But to bring in Matz, I think it's a B plus move because it happened so quickly. It's a, team friendly deal and, fits a need. So it might not be exactly who everybody was hoping it would be, but I think he'll be all right.
I think you got to chalk this move up there with kind of like the Arenado and some of these other moves of kind of, I wouldn't really call it a complete steal, but you got to think, what was Martinez making? Close to 16, 17 million or whatever. I don't even know what it was, but Waino's going to make 20. Any decent pitcher now at all that's halfway decent is going to get close to $20 million a year. You're going to pay Matz 11, 12 with incentives. So that's, they got him for a good deal. I mean, that's like buying a car and saving 30% at least. So I thought they did a really good job here.
Yeah, I mean the names that are out there too. If you're looking at like even a Gossman or, just any of the top 10, 15 available free agent pitchers, they're going to command a high salary. And Matz, in my opinion, he was breaking that top 15, free agent pitchers. So even though he might not be your top 10 pick, to get him at the price we.
Oop, lost your audio there. Can't hear you. I lost you. I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, I get what you're saying. He's definitely going to be in the top, there you go. I got you back. I heard you. He's definitely going to be in that top tier. He might even slot into some people's top 10, depending on where people had ranked him at. But I think it's a good overall money deal. And I think even places, like you and I and Brad had talked about this earlier. And if you get a chance, go check out our site and look at our links, or you could probably say where, but Brad had a good article. One of our guys wrote a good article today about the market and the Cardinals trying to stack the team for the upcoming season. But I think Baltimore saw how hot the pitching market was and how quick it was moving, and so they started throwing means out there for conversation pretty quick.
Yeah, I think Means has a few years of club control left, and he's going to command quite a bit in return. I don't think Mozeliak goes the route of a trade at this point. I think free agency is where he wanted to address at least the pitching side of things. But yeah, there's some other names that are starting to pop out, and I think he just wanted to get this done quick. And it's kind of crazy that it happened so late. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here, and for Jeff Passan to put that out, and it was kind of like, wow, man, this happened pretty late. I kind of figured that might be something you'd wake up to, but happening late. But very glad to hear the news.
Yeah, it's good to see him do something for the holiday. Gives everyone something, and that's a Cardinal fan to talk about over Thanksgiving dinner with family and loved ones. So, and they did move up their CBA, their tender date. So that's going to go like tender date. It sounds like the dating app thing, but I mean, for the contracts. Anyways, they set that for the end of November instead of a couple days past, so it would tie in with the CBA. So I think you're going to see a busy next few days, especially over the holidays. So it should be exciting for all baseball fans, and the Cardinals have some money left to play with. I think Mo's going to give you the standard answer now, like, well, we're happy with what we have to go out and compete and put a competitive ball club out on the field, and we've improved on what we were at last. He's going to give you that same talk that he always does, but in reality, they have. Carlos Martinez was a non-factor. Freed up some money. Carp, even though we loved him a lot, needed a lot of good things, he kind of was taking up a roster spot there, and we were paying him. So, the team is going to be younger and have more productive players on it next year. So it should be exciting. And along with this one here, maybe they'll make another move, maybe not. So, but at least they did something. If they didn't do anything, people would be complaining. So now they're just going to complain about who we got.
It'll be all right. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, we wanted to hop on here because it's breaking news, and we're not the ones breaking it, but we wanted to give our take on it. And it's again, like Jared said, off season, there's still some moves that the Cardinals could make, but definitely one to hop on because this was, it's a big move for the Cardinals.
It is. It's a move that I'm happy with, and apparently you are too. You gave it a B plus. I gave it a B or B minus. So it's a good trade. Fans just give it a chance to let it work out, read up, and do some studying on him and what he does. His pitch repertoire. He's a big sinker ball pitcher. He throws them most of the time. He's a big ground ball guy, which is what we want in Busch Stadium. So I recommend everybody go and take a read and learn a bit about our new number 3 pitcher. But I don't have anything else other than that, Chris, unless you do.
That's it. We'll try to be putting out our weekly show again soon. But we wrapped up season 1 last week, and this is kind of a bonus episode with the breaking news of the signing of Steven Matz. So stay tuned this off season. We'll be keeping the ball rolling with coming out with some bonus content and getting our way on to season 2. But definitely appreciate.
I'm sure we'll do one next week. We'll have some more hot stove stuff maybe, and then at least a collective bargaining agreement will be kicked in by then. We'll know if they've got a new one or if the strike will begin. I'm sure there's a lockout that's going to begin to start, but I don't think it'll go in and disrupt the games for next year's spring training, but I guess we'll see.
Yep, totally agree.
All right, well, Cardinals got Steven Matz, 4 years, $44 million with possible incentives of an extra 4, so it could be a total value of average annual value of $12 million per year, but he had a great season, finished the year strong. He's a ground ball pitcher that we've been looking for. Lefty to slide in the rotation behind Waino and Flaherty and slot in above Hudson and Mikolas, providing all are healthy. So I'm happy with it. Chris, if you don't have anything else, I guess we'll wrap up there and we'll just say go Cards.
That's it. Go Cards.